Take a look at greatness.
You got your rules and your religion.
My accomplishments are endless.
But when rules start getting broken,
My moments
you start
unforgettable. I am the past, present, and future of this business.
And I hear voices in my head, they counsel me, they understand, they talk to me.
Mark, when we talk about Randy Orton, I mean, it's impossible. You said poke holes. It's impossible to poke holes in any aspect of Randy Orton as a wrestler, as a speaker, as a performer, wrestler, entertainer, yada, yada. Mark, how old is a man when he truly comes into his physical, when he's at his physical best, strength, speed? When does a man truly come into that in his life?
About 31, 32. You get that grown man strength is what we call it.
And it lasts until about what age?
And you don't carry the strength until you're about 38, 40.
Okay.
And then the strength starts to diminish.
Randy Orton is 40 years old. He's been in the business all his life. His brain has become a sponge with the knowledge that he's gotten, obviously, from his dad, coming up in the WWE system, being in the ring with some of the best, being produced by some of the best. He's fast. He's strong. He's smart. There's a lot of talk out here about how pro wrestling is now a younger man and woman's game. I call bullshit. I think Randy Orton is a throwback to what wrestlers used to be, coming into their own and becoming true masters of the craft at 40 years old. I think because Randy has been smart with his career, I think Randy from 40 to 50 with the right stories and the right people across from him is going to have an off-the-charts career.
He's going to go from, at some point, he's going to go from being the legend killer to the youth killer. He's going to go to the new guy killer. He's going to go to the future, the potential killer. It's something to that effect. And it's going to happen because Father Time is undefeated. He's going to need a change of venue at some point. But I look at Randy, and you said that you said that Randy is a throwback to an older style of wrestler. I would go so far as to say Randy is going to be closer to a Bruno Sammartino, a Danny Hodge, a guy like Lou Thez, a guy like Harley Race, and the comparisons to his work and his work rate and his history, as opposed to being a Hulk Hogan, a Ric Flair, a Stone Cold Steve Austin, a Rock. He's a different guy. He could do it all, but when you look at the matches and the people that he wrestled in his life, he's come out as a winner.
I'll say something about Randy Orton is I say this to him all the time. When you work with somebody, you don't work with them for a while, you come back and work with them again. He is the best worker in the company. Yeah. And he doesn't even know it. And I'm not even sure he's really trying because he is so good just naturally, better than most. I think if he actually turned the dial up, he'd be so far, but he's already better than most. So I don't think he really goes super crazy. You know what I mean? Like I'm not saying he's not trying, but I always say, dude, you're so good. You don't even know how good you are. He doesn't.
Nick Bockwinkel told me one time. He said when he was teaming with Ray Stevens, Nick would get in and start the match. He'd be trying as hard as he could and trying to stay on point with everything. And then he'd tag Ray Stevens, and Ray Stevens would get in and be better than he was without even trying while he's telling jokes and looking at the girl in the front row.
Right, and that's what I'm saying about Randy. He's better than me, and he's not even really trying, I don't think. You know, he's just that natural, typical third-generation guy, came through the business that way, but it's just something about him. Everything he does is just perfect, you know.
It's just incredible. Randy's probably the greatest wrestler in the history of wrestling. Randy Orton. The things that he does and where he's at in his career Randy's magical. I can watch Randy do nothing for hours, and he makes it something that just draws you in. The guy is incredible. I mean, I would love to be able to get in the ring just to be able to learn more from Randy. Randy's incredible, and I can't have enough good things to say about him.
A motivated Randy, book, tell me, am I wrong? Is there anybody better?
He's my guy.
Yeah, he's your guy.
He's my guy.
No, I think Randy, and I think all of us can. We can take our eye off the ball. We can get complacent. But when he's dialed in and he has something he can really sink his teeth into, it's something that motivates him, I don't think there's anybody better. He was born into this business, and he can talk, he can wrestle, and he's one of those guys who, quote unquote, gets it.
Yeah.
So when he's fully motivated, nobody better. So I know he's motivated to do this, and I'm interested to see where it goes. And so far, they've been, grand slamming it out the park.
Randy's gifted. I've openly said that Randy is one of the smoothest performers inside the ring that I've ever seen. He's, I guess, my generation's Shawn Michaels. Like I've had matches with Shawn. I've been in there with Randy. They both make what we do look so effortless, and it's so difficult. But they just, like, they're gliding out there, and you can't teach that, you can't coach that. You just either have it or you don't. I don't have that. Randy does. Shawn does. That's it. Like those are the two that I can see and have been in there with that have that. And I think Randy's a special individual.
Randy, to me, might be the best wrestler I've been in the ring with, like as far as knowing exactly what to do when you're out there, right? I don't know if I've ever been in the ring with somebody more skilled than Randy, and I think most people who've been in the ring with Randy will say that about him,
There's nothing like, getting in there and with an opponent like Randy Orton, who's, in my mind, I've said it before, the best natural talent that I've ever been in the ring with. The scary thing about Randy is Randy doesn't even know how good he is, and that's scary because he's already the best, in my opinion. So
it's frustrating too. It's frustrating sometimes because he's so good. Sometimes he's a little blasé about it. It's like you want to grab him by the neck and strangle him because, like, do you have any idea when you turn it on how amazing you are? Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Randy Orton by a mile. His timing and the way he moves and the little tiny micro things he does from, the way he smiles or looks at a camera or looks at an opponent or just a tick in the way that he moves his body. Everything I think he does is perfect, and he's my favorite to watch do anything in a wrestling ring.
James wants to know, where do you rank Randy Orton on your opponent list? Is he top 5?
Without a doubt, especially heel, top 2. You don't get much of a better heel than Randy Orton. Triple H is up there. Ric Flair's up there. Freddie Blassie's up there. But Rick and Freddie were more of entertaining heels. Triple H and Randy were more heels. People naturally hated them, especially Randy.
When do you think Randy started to come into his own on the microphone? It feels like as soon as he showed up, he was a natural in the ring with his placement and timing, or at least that's what people who know wrestling tell me. But it feels like in this era, he started to really turn up the promos. Would you agree with that?
Yes, Randy was always good in the ring. He needed to sharpen his skills on the promo, from a promo perspective, and he did. He is so cold and calculating in the ring. And he takes his time. He controls the tempo of the match. He doesn't let the fans control it. He had to do that with his promos too, because sometimes when he would talk, the fans would start responding and he would speed up his conversation. But Randy learned how to slow it down and be cool and calculated in his promos as he was in his matches. Randy's a natural heel. That's his best asset. There's no other heel like him. There's no other heel better than him.
And sort of, quote unquote, get themselves over at your expense?
I think the fans try to work you as long as they can until they can't. And what Randy did is he exhausted them and made them get with the match eventually. At first, they weren't with it. And they were chanting boring, or they weren't saying anything. And then they got a little rowdy. They got out of control. And then Randy calmed them down and got them into the match. Randy is a great storyteller, and he's the best heel in the business. He knows how to get the match back on track.
I think that's where one thing I'm picking up a lot of stuff from Randy is, he's just so cool. You don't realize, you just think everything's just so easy. And wrestling, nothing is easy. And I see how well he works and how smart he is and how perfect in wrestling he is and how his brain works. And it's awesome just to be a part of that with him, and just working with him side by side or even against him. By default, I'm picking stuff up, and he's really funny. He tells really funny jokes, so he cracks me up. Well, Randy is one of the greatest storytellers in professional wrestling history, and not that I can't tell a story, but I feel like Randy has helped me tell better stories, And I think with me and Randy together, it's awesome because Randy is such a serious character. So for him to kind of drop his guard a little bit, give me some trust and some friendship, and I'm always there for him. I'm his right-hand man. I'm his bro for show. I'm there all the way, I think because of that, it's a dynamic we've never seen. Because usually when Randy's paired up, it's almost like it's like a standoff, like we respect each other, but we don't know if we even like each other. With me and Randy, it's like, I like Randy, and I'll do anything for Randy. And Randy, week by week, is coming along,
How was that for you? And what is, I guess, so special about Randy Orton? And let's hear a bit about the relationship that you guys have with him.
It was very cool to see him win the world championship again, because one, it recognizes him as the greatest professional wrestler in the world. And I really believe that. Both Cash and I both believe that he is the greatest professional wrestler in the world. And why he's so good, man, I can't tell you why, I don't think anybody can tell you. And you hear about it all the time, and it is a real thing, but he has it. I don't think he even knows how good he is or why he's. We would work these 6-man tags with him, on live events in 2019, and after the matches, he would praise us. We're like, dude, did you see what you did? You're Randy Orton, and he doesn't. He said, I wish I could work like you guys, and we're like, no, you do, you can. we everyone believes it. So finally having a year too late, FTRKO running the whole wrestling business, that's a pretty cool moment for us. And our relationship with him, we talk to him all the time through text. And, he's one of the guys that we miss a lot because he looked out for us. We tried to work hard for him, and we wanted to make things work for FTRKO, but, the chips didn't fall in place like we wanted.
Yeah, it's awesome to see Randy get, was it his 14th world title now? He's creeping up on the 16th. Because, the guy is only 40. He's been doing this literally half his life. And like you said, he is the best in the world, but he's so effortlessly good. He doesn't even know how good he is. He doesn't know how he does half of what he does. It just comes so natural to him. And it's, like you said, we've done the 6-man tags and we watched it, and it's just like, how does he move that easily? How does he get into place that smoothly? How does he get everything just right without even looking like he's trying? So to see the work he's done the past year, obviously Randy, when he's firing on all cylinders, is untouchable. And this past year he's been firing on all cylinders. So it's really cool to see him get recognized for that, because like Dak said, we honestly believe, and a lot of people believe, that he is the best wrestler in the world. There was just a small story. We did a live event sometime last December or so maybe, and we were backstage watching on a monitor, and Randy was working Ricochet, and it was just me, Dax, Sami Zayn, and Daniel Bryan, I think. And we're all just kind of standing around watching the match. Nobody's really saying anything. We're just kind of watching it go. And as soon as the match was over, I think Sammy or Daniel, one of them turned and said, Randy Orton is maybe the best wrestler ever, right? And we're all like, yes. Everybody's thinking it, just because we're all watching the monitor, just blown away by how good he is. And then somebody finally says it, and it's like, yeah, he is maybe one of the best ever.
Wow, and the praise doesn't get much better than that.
This kid right here is the best worker in the business right now. Randy, to me,
Yeah.
all around. If he can't do it, he can take it.
Right.
Does that make sense? And here's Hunter. I need my third ring shortly.
Hey, okay, you're in as, Ric
Yes.
Flair. You're in as
Four Horsemen.
Four Horsemen. Do you think Evolution could go in and you could be a 3-time?
If I live long, I know they're going to go in. It's just if I live long enough. Are you kidding?
What do you think about Dave Bautista going in this year?
I love it. I love it. Happy for him.
So Randy's going to go in there too. I mean,
Oh,
it's
eventually,
just whenever
yeah.
he gets out of
They're
business.
both going to go.
Yeah.
Randy will go into single, both of them, and then they'll both go into Evolution.
When called upon, he's been great. He's had some injuries that were, actually pretty bad. And he's come back from those. And like we all agree, he's at a level right now that would make him, in my estimation, the best performer in the business, period.
Agreed.
Randy has done and accomplished so much. And he's been there a long time. People don't realize it, but every time he says something, it's the truth. And his ability, his level of ability, his health right now is great. And Randy is, at the top of his game, which, makes him, in my opinion, the number one guy. The thing about Randy is he's so good that I think just because he is and he's been there so long, you think, gosh, can he get any better? And he just continues if given the opportunity to shine.
Well, Randy may have one of the greatest 2 or 3 looks in the history of the business. If that makes sense, you just look at Randy, you see this symmetrical physique, built like a Greek god, always looks in shape, incredibly handsome guy, extremely athletic, and the delivery on his interviews, which, if more people could learn it, you amp it up. I can remember when he started, Stephanie McMahon looked at me and said, Randy just has that look that'll separate him from a lot of people over the years. And it continues to.
I look at what Randy Orton's doing right now. He's putting out the best work of his career, specifically from a character standpoint and from a promo standpoint. Man, the guy is completely on fire, and he's really riveting to watch. His in-ring work has always been spectacular. He's kind of been, the standard. So the way he's operating at right now, I think is amazing.
Watching the Broken Skull session with Randy Orton, and I loved it, man. I loved it because I felt like Randy was telling his story kind of as much as you can do, warts and all, in that format. And I thought it was just super engaging. I loved that it went long. What was your impression of Randy Orton after that interview?
So impressed with how charismatic and personable he was, and I've just really had a connection with that guy. And I barely know Randy. I was kind of almost on my way out when he came in, and I was kind of doing my own thing. I've always been a loner, so we never hung out, and I think I'd kind of, through the years said, the guy's a great worker, but his promos really aren't there. Mm-hmm. And right now, as you know, his promos are just killing people. I mean, they're lights out. So he went from being always a great worker to now one of the best promos that there is going and has been. So I'm super proud of the guy, but hanging with him, very magnetic, very charismatic. And it really caught me off guard how magnetic and charismatic he is. I'm so proud of that guy, and what a run he's had.
I feel like Randy, at times, he might not even necessarily be motivated, right? But he's so damn talented that even when he's not motivated, he's still better than 99% of the other performers. That's just how good he is naturally. And when he's motivated, look the F out. I mean, this is like, these are the best promos that I've ever heard Randy deliver in his entire career. And when, like I said, I think we're going to see something here, even a different level to Randy, because I've never seen him motivated like this before. And believe me, I've been in the ring with him when he's motivated.
I would be remiss in saying that I wouldn't like to tangle again with Randy Orton.
Mm-hmm.
Randy and I met them Randy's, you know, I would say hands down the best talent, you know, in the business. His professionalism, his character development, his in-ring work, his promos, his everything. I'm a huge fan. I have been for a very long time. It's been in his blood, his family for God knows how long. And you know, he's at the top of the food chain as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to tangle with Randy again.
Having been here for 5 years now, with everywhere that you've been, Raw, SmackDown, NXT, favorite match that you've had, and also, you know, a couple more things that you want to accomplish as far as goals are concerned in WWE?
As far as being on the main roster, I think one of my favorite matches is probably the match that I had with Randy Orton on pay-per-view. Yeah, so that was definitely, I think I like it so much is because I wanted to work with Randy for such a long time. And in my opinion, bell to bell, there's nobody better than Randy Orton in my era. So it was an honor to be in the ring with him. And I think, again, he's another guy that we had really great chemistry with, and I could work every single night. You know, he's just that good. So.
Yeah, I mean, Randy Orton is on fire right now. Like, even when he's not trying, he's admitted himself. Like, sometimes he's not always putting in 100%, but he's still better than 90% of everybody in the world when he's barely trying. But when he's on, there's nobody that can touch Randy Orton. And I think for me, you know, I need somebody who's going to make me really work up to their level.
How have you felt about the program that you guys have had?
Very proud of everything we've done. You know, I've said since I won the title at Mania, I know Randy Orton's the one. Like, he's the one that I have to face. It's already Randy Orton, one of the best of all time. But since he worked with Edge, he started taking it up another level, like the best in the industry, promos, in ring. And I knew I had to face him and keep up with him to prove myself as a top level talent. And the fact that we've been doing it for 4 months now, which is such a rarity in today's day and age. People have no attention span these days. They get annoyed if people feud for a month. And we've been going for 4 months now. I feel like we've done a lot, as the video package showed last night, achieved a lot, and I've been able to step up and prove myself at the top level, and it's thanks to Randy Orton. So I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity to work with Randy.
But someone who I would love to have in NXT is Randy Orton. Because I feel like he is, you know, probably the best performer of the last 10 years. And, you know, someone who, you know, I look up to a lot. I know a lot of the NXT locker room look up to a lot, and someone that I feel like could have such a huge impact on NXT that would, you know, send a ripple effect, you know, for the next 5 or 10 years. So, you know, if I got to, you know, I've been in the ring with Randy before, but, you know, if we could do that in an NXT environment, I would love that.
But Randy is at the top of his game right now. There's nobody in WWE or anywhere else that's better than Randy Orton, in my view. Of course, it's subjective. It's only my opinion. There's a lot of good ones out there right now, but I don't think anybody's any better than Randy Orton in the wrestling business.
You know, I push Randy. And I push Randy to his capabilities. But he doesn't even understand his capabilities because Randy just does. He doesn't think, he doesn't need to think. He just has this innate instinct that comes through 3 generations of doing this. And I don't know if I've ever seen anybody to his extent. Kurt Angle is close coming from where he came from, but Randy he's special, man, but he doesn't realize how special he is. Me coming back, I think I can reinforce that and push him to be what he can be. That being said, I needed him to see if I could do this, because coming back after all that time, sure, I want to get in there with, like I said, Aleister Black, Austin Theory, you know, Damian Priest, Angel Garza, Cesaro. God, there's so many guys I want to get in there with. But I needed to start with Randy to see where I was at. To be in there with someone who I know is just so damn good, but would also push me. I had to start with Randy, and I knew that coming back, having this cherry of a story dropped in his lap, that Randy would step up. And He just needed something to be able to sink his teeth into. and man, I just knew it. I knew it. But then the next night after the Rumble, when I heard people screaming, I was like, oh my God, this feels like old school NWA Dusty Rhodes. Like this is what I was hoping for, but you never fully know, right? When I heard those screams, I was like, man, this is going to be so much fun.
We got him.
We got him. We got him. We got him.
I mean, he really was exceptional. And if he hadn't have been, we wouldn't have had some of those really good matches. I really went out and tried to make him, look as good as I could. But he was, just a phenomenal talent. And everybody's, you have to, when you think about all the different talent, everybody's a little bit different, and you have to, people grow up at different paces, right? And, so Randy is a completely different person now than he was back then, but he also knew, that he needed to stay in check there, because, he wanted to have good matches, and if you're being a dick, then that's not going to happen. It's going to be a long night. No one's going to be happy, and especially him. And but he was, he's just always been a phenomenal talent. And now, he's at a point now where, he's passing it forward as well now. The things that he's done with Riddle is, it makes me proud, because you can tell that he's taking him under his wing, and he's guiding him along, and he's really, speeding up Riddle's development. So I'm proud of him. He's come a long way.
Man, I'll tell you what, this thing with you talk about Randy, no one I think is better in the ring technically than Randy Orton. Like, just his maneuvers and the things, the moves, and it's the in-betweens on what he does in his moves that really set him apart from everybody else. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if people, I think everyone notices it, but for a person as a WWE superstar that's done this for such a long time, to see the level that he just keeps elevating and keep going higher and higher, and it's pretty incredible. And then, getting to work with, like, I've worked with Randy many times. Like, I think my WWE Championship, my first reign, I got to really learn from him and John Cena. And it was just, you couldn't ask for two better people to learn from in that era, at that time, to really guide me, focus me, and get me to where I needed to be, and show me what it takes to be a main eventer in WWE.
Because we talked about it years later. Like, I told him I wanted them to use it. To me, pound for pound, the look, the size, the work, I think friggin' Randy Orton may be, you got to give Flair the best of all time, because he had 30-year run. Randy ain't anywhere near done, or he'll take some time off. Yeah. He'll come back. I think he may be, he's like top 5, man. Like, of guys who did our business from 22, the youngest world champion, so he's in his 40s now.
Yeah.
To had a run of 20 years on top. Like, the guys who get that shit, Rhodes, Dusty Rhodes, Macho Man, Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, Roddy Piper, Shawn Michaels, Randy Orton now, 20 years in.
My ass believed. I believed my height.
I was riding with Randy Orton, who was probably what to me, for my money, I think Randy's the best to ever do this business. I think, and that's, you talk about 5 tool baseball players. Randy is to me, he is everything in this business. And at the time, I was riding with Randy, and I guess I thought that it was going to be osmosis and it was going to transfer over to me,
Right,
just by
yeah.
riding with him. But it doesn't work like that. And
I don't know. It's cool. I think for me personally, Roman has always been kind of a dream opponent, and Randy has always kind of been more like a dream mentor, just because we're so similar in style that I've always kind of visioned he'd be a great guy to just, if he could take me under his wing or tag with him or something. But either way, just the idea of sharing a stage with those two dudes, and not to discredit anyone else in the match, it's just, we all have our favorites or whatever it is. Those are the two guys for me that if I get just a couple seconds in there with either one of them, if there's anything that can happen, it'll be cool for me.
Did you ever talk to Randy Orton about it once you guys were on the same show, since he was the one that chimed in with that whole dive thing?
Oh man, I talk to Randy all the time. I talk to Randy all the time. That dude is the coolest dude. Randy he's one of the guys that has helped me out so much since being here on the main roster and just in WWE general. He's really, him, Edge, a couple of guys have really, really done everything that they can do to help me out as much as possible. AJ Styles, I could keep going, but Randy specifically has been someone who's he's just cool. We talked about that too, and he's like, I didn't mean nothing. I'm like, yeah, no, but then we just get talking, and he's one of the coolest dudes out there, bro. Randy, that dude, bro.
I hear that in pretty much almost every interview I do with a male talent Randy, that's in the locker with him, saying that he's the coolest and the most helpful guy.
He really is, and as if you have a question, if you have just anything, you can. He's always a phone call or a text away, or if he's there in person, he'll be happy to talk to you. He really helped me out when I had questions or I was confused or something. You know how crazy this world gets, and so he really has helped me out. And so I get Randy. He that guy. Plus, he just got most pay-per-view appearances recently, right?
Or most matches? Wasn't it most matches in general?
And most matches, televised match or something. He's
something like
low-key, the go for sure. Randy's making his way to be. He's in the arguments for go for sure.
Oh, 100%.
Yep.
Randy Orton?
That's my boy, man. I rode with Randy for my first 3 years in the business, and if he's your friend, he will go to bat for you, and he'll actually fight for you. And he's just an awesome guy. But if he hates you, he's gonna fucking make your life hell.
Right.
No, he's awesome, man. I saw so many transitions, and I saw him become a dad, and I saw him become married, and I saw him clean up, and he had some issues, and
right.
I didn't walk him through it, but I was there when he went through it. So I've seen him become this awesome man from this kind of punk kid, and he's a great man.
I want to take a quick bathroom break. I don't know if you need to go or whatever, but
is this still recording? I'll say one more thing about Randy.
Sure.
He didn't even know how good he was, and when I told him one time, I said, "Bro, you're probably the best wrestler in the fucking world," and he's like, "Come on, man." I said, "I'm not kissing your ass or blowing smoke up your ass. You're awesome in the ring." He didn't even know, and I thought that was it was cool.
I mean, it's an investment, so it's worth it. Yeah,
for sure. Your favorite person to be in the ring with, who would you say? Your favorite person when you got to work with? The one
Randy Orton.
Really? Why?
Yeah, just super knowledgeable, so relaxed, no stress.
So when you say that, is it someone because you don't feel that you'll feel good after the match? You don't want someone you're going to feel...
Yeah, and Randy you can't have a bad match with. He's the most gifted athlete I've ever been in the ring with.
Really?
Yeah.
Randy is just so perfect in everything he does. Randy Orton, to me, is the pinnacle. He is the pinnacle of pro. The thing fans don't understand what Randy is they put him with guys and make him look small.
Yeah.
So he never gets credit for being a big guy, but he's a big guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He matches with guys who are athletic, so he never gets credit for being a high flyer because, you're putting him in with fucking Ray and everybody else. You know what I'm saying? But Randy is the perfect prototype to what a pro wrestler in WWE is. Okay? He's not a corporate guy. He tells everybody to fuck off 90% of the time. All right? He loves the boys and will look out for you if you are looking out for somebody else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He is the quintessential perfect wrestler. You know, athletic, strong, can change it up on a dime, great timing, amazing timing. Okay, can chain wrestle, can do amazing matches with anybody. Okay, I think in my opinion, Randy Orton is the best heel ever.
And what Randy Orton is and has always done, flawless in the ring. He makes it seem seamless. Now he's not even doing that with his in-ring work. He's doing it with his mic work. On the microphone, he's bringing reality. He's bringing truth. And it's really attracting people to want to see what's going to happen next. And I've said it, and I know you have said it and thought it too. We may be seeing the best work from Randy Orton right now.
Work-wise, promo-wise, career-wise, there's nobody else on the planet that's living up to Randy Orton's excellence.
No, I've always still to this day, I think Randy Orton is one of the most fluid, gifted talents in the industry right now. I don't think there's anybody that can hold a candle to Randy Orton when it comes to his character in the ring, his abilities physically, his character, his psychology. I think he is just one of the most exceptional pieces of talent that we all are kind of used to because we're used to seeing Randy Orton. But I think when we look back at Randy Orton 10 years from now and 20 years from now, hopefully I'm still here doing this podcast with you called, hypothetically 83 weeks. We'll be looking back at Randy Orton and putting him in a category of rarefied air. Let's put it that way. You watch Randy Orton, there is not an ounce, there is not a millisecond of wasted motion. Everything he does means something. He's so fluid. He's like water going through a river over the rocks. It's just poetry in motion because he's so comfortable in his character because he's been doing it for so long and he has the natural talents and the God-given gift that a lot of people never have or never will have. Randy has it and the experience. It's like method acting. You have to believe you're the character. You can't play a wrestler. You can't play a tough guy. You can't play a nice guy. You can't play a bad guy. You have to believe you're a bad guy. You have to believe you're a nice guy. It sounds so simple, right? Well, just sit down and have a conversation with yourself and believe it. That's why there's great actors, and that's why there's people who wish they were. Some people can become a character. They can read a character on a piece of paper, and they can find ways to make that character their own to the extent that it actually becomes them. Those are great actors. They're also great wrestlers, by the way, Randy Orton. And I keep using Randy because I can't think of anybody better than Randy Orton. I don't think anybody comes close to Randy Orton when it comes to what I'm talking about. Nobody.
Randy, man, Randy's the best. Randy is the best. Randy Orton is clearly the best heel and one of the best workers of all time.
When you look at the entire landscape here of possible opponents in WWE, who are some dream matches for you?
I've always said Randy Orton, just because I've always been a big fan and I love his style of work.
You know what? You know, Randy and he's a third generation wrestler for a reason. So I mean, this guy, he's so good. His timing is impeccable. His presence in the ring is so good. It's you know, if you watch it, I mean, he's got you from his entrance to his exit. He commands that audience and commands, you know, the people. I mean, I remember the first time I saw him when he'd do that Viper thing and he'd kind of drop to his hands and knees and starts pounding the mat. I was like, man, why didn't I think of that? That's so cool. You know, right? I mean, he does that. It's really, you can feel it. Like he just connects with the fans really well. He's exceptional.
Yeah.
He's special for sure. Randy does what he does. He does like 10 moves, but he does them really, really, really good and at the perfect time. So you never know. He's not doing moonsaults and head scissors. He's not doing that. He doesn't have to do that stuff. He sits there and does his moves, you know, his move set, and he does them exceptionally well with great timing and great presence, and it kind of means everything. You know, he's one of the best wrestlers, I mean, kind of all time, Randy.
The program that I had with Randy Orton, he and I had wrestled years previous, and I remember it was a long match. It was like 18 minutes on Raw or something, which is a crazy amount of time for that live show. And I remember the chemistry there, and I remember we hit it out of the park, and I was like, man, I don't know what it is, but this is really good. And you know, sometimes when it's happening, sometimes you don't realize till after and you watch it back, like, man, that was pretty damn good. But when it's when you realize it when it's happening, that's something special. You're like,
yeah,
you know, you just want to continue that momentum going. And I don't know what it was. Like, even if Randy and I tried to go out and have a bad match, like if we said, hey, we're going to go out there tonight, we're just going to stink the joint out, we couldn't do it. We just had crazy chemistry. And Randy, like I said before, Randy doesn't know how good he is, and that's scary. And Randy being so good made me take my game to even a higher level, even after I'd become the champion. And I think our styles meshed really, really well. He's a little bit more slow and methodical. I worked a little bit faster pace. And, you know, that was also, I think our feud got overshadowed a little bit that summer with CM Punk and John Cena feuding at the same time. But for my money, and I'm not shy to say it, our matches blew those matches out of the water. They weren't even in the same realm, in my opinion. And that just goes like to show you how good Randy is. Randy makes you go to another level.
Who do you like right now when you watch? Like, what wrestlers do you?
Yeah, it's hard not to like Randy Orton, just for good, solid, steady.
Who's your favorite person to be an agent for?
Oh, that's difficult. Enjoy working with Randy Orton. Randy is a very evil individual, very smart. In my mind, when he's on and when he has an angle that he can sink his teeth in, he's the best heel in the business, single heel. He doesn't do a lot of the flip, flop, and fly stuff. He's just a guy that will stomp your brains out at the proper time. And he has that look. The longer you look at him, the more he does look like a viper and a serpent, and he moves like a viper and a serpent. And Randy is one of those guys that he's a world-class heel when he's cast that way. He's easy to pass ideas off of, you know, and he'll tell you if he doesn't necessarily like something or if he does like something. Easy to do business with.
So I mean, it was like beautiful, perfect timing, and it was great because it was a move that I had established. It's a move that he had established. We had this like, it wasn't just two random people just doing it for fun. It really was two people's specialties like colliding. If you watch the way it was filmed perfectly. It was shot flawlessly. Randy goes down, they cut to me climbing, but the climbing shot is super, super tight. You almost forget that Randy's there. He's out of the picture. And it's not until I jump that they cut to the second shot, and then you can see Randy popping out of nowhere and catching me. It was just, it was art. It was masterfully shot. It was just the perfect moment. And I mean, every single night we go out there and try and create a moment like that. Every single night you try and make that magic happen. But this one, all the stars lined up. Randy was perfect. My jump was just where it needed to be. The guys behind the scenes had it orchestrated so beautifully that, I mean, all I had to do was jump, and the rest wrote itself. A memory like that than anything else. I mean, it really is essentially the pinnacle of my career because it is the most memorable thing. And really, I mean, that's what we're really trying to do, is create that.
Like the work I do now for New Japan, I'm just taking my time. When I'm in the ring, I take my time. When I'm in the ring, I envision myself being the Black Randy Orton. No one knows that but me. When I go out there, be the Black Randy Orton, but make it my own. The in-between stuff, taking my time, getting to the ring. Randy Orton's a big inspiration of mine.
With you brought up Orton here just real quickly while I got a couple minutes with you. You mentioned how much did he help you directly? Was he somebody you would go to and like regularly consulted for help or anything backstage?
Man, once I came out publicly to the world in 2013, I never said two words to a lot of the main guys, but once I came out, man, he was one of the guys that passed me in the hallway the day after I came out, and he gave me a hug, man. And he said, "Hey, man, if you have any issues, you let me know, and I'll take care of anyone in the locker room." Him and CM Punk were top guys that said those exact words. And Randy, from then on, was like my heart, man. Anytime I visit backstage with WWE, I seen him passing. I was like, "Hey, Randy, you mind if I get a money shot doing the Block the Hate?" And he was so into it, like there were no cameras around, and he was like, "Yeah, man, let's get it right, let's get it right." And then we finally took the picture, and I tweeted it, and he was like, he messaged me, say, "Oh man, you're making me blush." I mean, come on. I mean, Randy is a cool dude. And I had posted something recently on my social media because I get tired of fans asking me, "Oh, why don't you try AEW? Why don't you try AEW?" Well, I've tried AEW not once, but twice. And they said, nope. And that wasn't really my goal. My goal was New Japan Pro Wrestling. And, I've got a lot of work to do. And he liked the tweet, you know what I mean? Brandy knows what's up. He don't like a lot of people's stuff,
Yeah.
He likes the real ones, and that meant the world to me.
Even execution in the ring. That's why I love watching Randy work, because Randy makes everything he does in the ring look effortless. Not until you've done it and been in the ring, you can't imagine how a lot of those things are, how hard they are to do. And then you get somebody like Randy who just comes in and makes everything, it's just like pouring water out of a glass. It makes it look easy.
But, Randy Orton was destined to be good anyway. He's third generation wrestler. I mean, his dad was a great wrestler, his grandfather, and Randy.
It's effortless.
Yeah, Randy's good. He's amazing. And he always was. And he's got attitude like his father had, and that's a good thing. And his idol is his dad, and that's how he modeled himself. And Randy's a great guy, great talent.
That one of those people, the people that you please and whatnot, is Randy Orton. He tweeted out not too long ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago, he wants you up there like right now. He said, "Time's up, get Karrion Kross up here right now so I can wrestle you and we can make some money, blah, blah, blah." Reading that has got to be cool, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I got up and I did my cardio, and then I came back into the house and I turned my phone on and I saw that tweet and I just laughed. I was like, what time is it that he sent this? I was like, clearly I missed a good time last night. But if I'm being honest with you, I was very flattered. This is a guy who's a self-made millionaire. He's one of the best professional wrestlers and sports entertainers we've ever seen. He doesn't have to acknowledge anybody, but the fact that he did that, I thought it was very cool. And he likes to have fun on Twitter anyways. I don't take social media very seriously. I think more people should try to have fun on social media. That's what he was doing. And, it was a flattering compliment. And I'm very much looking forward to competing against him in the future.
And Randy, I have nothing but great things to say about Randy. I've always gotten along with him, and he is a very intelligent wrestler. He was raised in the business. He suffered some major injuries early on, and nothing from working necessarily super crazy or anything, but he learned how to stay healthy and stay in shape on that grueling schedule. And now you look at his career, and I feel like he wants to keep going to really, really cement himself in his legacy. I feel like in the wrestling world, which he's doing and he's done. And there's a time and a place for everything. And it's really, the basics, they'll never go away. In learning how to actually work and tell a story, and facials and mannerisms, and getting a reaction without necessarily doing something really high risk. And the talent will learn. And the guys, I understand it. When you're young, you want to do whatever you can to get people's attention, and there's a time and a place for it. But sometimes they get caught up in doing it every chance they get, and all it takes is one thing, just one thing, and you're done, and you're not making money anymore. And it's so there's Randy's just simply trying to communicate that to talent, like that, because that used to be instilled in talent. And then guys could always do this cool stuff, but it was just, they would do it at certain times and places, and it was pulled back often.
And Randy cares. He's giving these guys free advice from a guy who has done this for a very long time and made a lot of money. So I hope no one discredits the advice he's given, because he's giving advice and teaching you guys. You guys could stay healthy and make a lot more money, because if you burn out and you're not there and you're not in the game, you don't make money unless you got other things going on. The mentality of the business used to be to go out there and get the loudest reactions by doing the least amount possible. And the theory is not doing that to be lazy, doing that to preserve your health and to get them to put on the best match for these people. And you could do that for the longest period of time and make the most amount of money. But it teaches you how to elicit a reaction out of people without whoring yourself out and killing yourself. Now, there's times where you do have to do things and get to that. And that's where the big matches come in, and you do that.
It's interesting. Randy's spot on, though. Randy's so good. People used to talk about Randy, by the way. If you watch his matches, how he sells and the things, people used to talk about how he was so great all the time. And then that and it changed. There's still the majority of people that know. But then today's audience, or that smaller portion, then started, he's boring. When did that all of a sudden, it's a weird shift that happened, because he's not just doing moves bell to bell as far as 100 or 150 moves just to do 150 moves. Randy could do everything that those guys all do.
All right.
But he could also tell a story way better than any of those guys can. And he's actually proven it time and time again. Even today, it's funny with Randy. Man, Randy should just stay in that spot, just keep working all the guys from his generation that know how to work.
Still works.
It's the most interesting thing on the thing. So
right.
You tell me what style's better.
Right.
Yeah, and you bring that up. You're 25 years old. You know, you look at the landscape of the locker room. Not many guys on the Raw and SmackDown, roster are south of 29. I think you, Humberto, Dominic Mysterio might be the only ones that I can really think of. Many years experience there. Is there someone that you're looking forward to talking with and working with and picking their brain a little bit, or have you already?
Yeah, someone that has been really, really generous to me has been Randy Orton. He's been someone who, it's very intimidating to go up to a guy like Randy Orton, who has done so much and accomplished so much in WWE. And he's just so incredibly approachable and kind and always offers honest feedback. Most of the locker room has been really amazing about that, where, after my matches or after, anything, I'll go to the back, and anyone who's watching the monitor, I'll always ask them how I did. And, Randy's been great for that.
Bad Bunny's dedication and the respect he earned from the boys and girls, like, that was very important to him. And Randy, the week before, literally went up to him and thanked him for treating this serious, respecting it, and earning his place. And then he was like, no, thank you. I appreciate those kind words. But that's Randy. I mean, Randy Orton, like, the guy he's like easy Hall of Famer. He's one of the greatest to ever do this, still going strong, still one of the best in the world, like, if not the best. Like, he's awesome. And that's him taking the time to say something like that to somebody he's not even working with, like, hands-on. How cool is that? You know what I mean?
Who besides Aleister Black would you manage given the opportunity? I would say Randy Orton. Because I think, obviously, as bad guys, but more so, I think there's a lot to learn there. Just in how he moves, his presence is so strong, and we both like snakes.
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 Danger Noodles.
Danger Noodles! And his wife is awesome. So if it means more Kim time, I'm down with that.
Which was really cool. And then it was, for me, like you said, Randy was one of those guys that was always, just from the minute I got there, he always kind of looked out for me and took care of me and was always really nice. I don't know if he knew of my work before or what. If he did, I find that incredibly humbling and awesome. I'm not going to assume that he did, but maybe he saw my work when I was there. But he was, believe it or not, when I got switched over to 205, he actually messaged me, and he was the first person that messaged me and was like, hey, I'm happy that people are finally going to be able to see what you're able to do. Like, you'll get TV time. And I always remember, like, being like, wow, like, he didn't have to do that. And that went a long way. And to this day, we still message back and forth. He fought for me. He fought for me and Tony Nese to get involved in a dark match after Monday Night Raw or after SmackDown, just so we could get in there. And that was one of the last things I did, was getting RKO'd by Randy. And, like, I remember being in there and him just making me laugh while we were in the ring. He's just a really good dude. And that always meant a lot to me. And I always look back and I'm like, you know what? That's how you treat people. And that always went a long way in my eyes.
I mean, like, storytelling is like, that's the whole point, Right. So, I think that, yeah, like, a lot of the time, this used to be one that made me laugh, was like, you would see these fans online, they would call somebody like Randy Orton, Randy's probably the best worker in the business today. And they, and they say, oh, he's boring. They say he's lazy. Yeah. Lazy? Like, no, I'll tell you what's lazy. Lazy is deciding to do 20 finishes in one match because you're too lazy to try to work on your storytelling, or work on putting it in the right order, or work on your facial expressions and your emotional connection with the audience to get them to care about one finish. But
I felt an enormous amount of pressure on myself to get that final impression, and I let Randy know that I needed him to take me to a level that I was not sure I could get to. And I just remembered I had an appearance the day of the show, which was crazy to do. And I canceled that, and I got in the night before, and I just put my mind into it. And both of us knew exactly what we wanted to accomplish. I remember coming home, flying home on a red eye, getting my luggage lost in Toronto, and then getting home to visiting my youngest son, who was in the hospital due to dehydration. I took my shift at the hospital, and when I got home, Randy came out on Raw, and it was like the entire audience saw him in a different light. And I thought not only did I just have the best match of my career, but I was able to help people see Randy in a different way. And again, this goes back to what I said about Flair and Funk and the I Quit match in 1989. You can have a match that stands the test of time, that elevates both guys simultaneously. You've done something really special.
Yeah.
But you also had a couple of the other guys, and I believe, was it Randy Orton? That's also.
He's an up-and-coming kid. He's a big kid. He's 6'5". He's 250 pounds already. He's just 21 years old, and he's he's a third-generation actually wrestler. His grandfather and his dad, Bob Orton Jr.
Okay, that's right.
And you know, there's always something special about a second-generation wrestler. I don't know what, but there's something. And so he's going to be a great one. Yeah, he's going to be a great one. Randy Orton.
Because I'm with you. I'm here because I do want your approval, and I do want to be with you because I want to be there when you win your 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th. I want you to break my record. Listen to me, not John Cena's record, my record. A record you grew up on, your dad knows it. Driving 3,000 miles a week for $150. Okay? For how many millions of miles in the air, flying one city after another. You know what that's about because you did it with me. And you were home when your dad was on the road. No cell phones back then. You know what I went through. That's why I want you, who's crawled from the bottom to the top. You're the greatest performer in the business today.